What is that from? What's going on here? Real world plumbing is what this channel has always been about from day one. I've always said I'm going to keep it completely real, completely honest. When it goes right, when it goes wrong, I'm going to show you everything. So today's video is a massive real world plumbing exercise, if you like. It'll be really interesting. Please watch the video to the end and everything will make sense when you've seen the whole process of what's gone on in this video. I put a few little teasers out of this last week. So this was filmed about a week or so ago. Put a few little teasers out on Instagram with pictures of what you'll see at the end. And the amount of people that made such a quick assumption about what the problem was quite interesting. So watch it to the end and let me know what you think. Drop me a comment, let me know what you think. I'm genuinely interested in people's views on it. I've really enjoyed putting this video together, actually, because it is exactly what the channel's about, as I say, real world plumbing. So please, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I want to try and get, again, every year since I started the channel, I've always wanted to do 10,000 subscribers or more a year. And we're really close to hitting 30,000 subscribers for this year. It'd be really good if we could hit that 30k off the back of this video. I'm going to let you get on with it. As I said, drop me a comment, let me know what you think, and I will catch you on the next one. This channel seems to be rapidly turning into just a bathroom renovation channel. I've got another bathroom to do. So it's Monday morning, we've come out to begin working on this bathroom. I've just covered all the floors up and the stairs outside. It's for an existing customer of mine. This was their ensuite about, I'm going to say about 8 months ago. He rang me up with a leak coming from this ensuite, and I said to him I was absolutely stacked out with work, and he said, right, what I'm going to do is basically rip out his own ensuite, which he's done here, and then when I get a chance to come and have a look at it and see what we're going to do, I'll come round and have a look. In the meantime, he's decided to completely renovate it and move the walls out and just get a bigger ensuite going in. But he said, right, I want you to come and do the plumbing. So what we're going to do is begin altering this up, and then he's going to get the boarding done, the walls done, the tiling done. So in effect, we're doing the first fix and the second fix. So what we're going to have is a full-length shower tray here. Obviously, we've got this saw pipe in the way. So we're going to alter it down there, bring it along the floor for the toilet here, along here for the basin, and then this end, we're going to poke up an air admittance valve so it keeps that running flush, because at the minute it's venting up through the roof, but because of that he's losing so much of that end wall. So we're going to get rid of that, alter that saw pipe, bring new hot and colds round. We've got to get rid of these pipes that are sticking out the floor which fed the existing shower. Let me get down and show you, because we want the shower tray in here being as low as possible. We're going to start off by getting all this pipe work out and altering that saw pipe. So pipework wise, we've got to get rid of these two 22 mils that are poking up. They were feeding the existing shower that was there, because we want to get the tray as low to the floor as possible. So they've got to come out, so we've got to alter the pipework. While we're doing that, we might as well run new hot and colds round to the basin and the toilet. We're going to bring the saw pipe out the floor there, and obviously the waste there. But yeah, going to be fairly straightforward. We're doing the first fix, and then we'll wait for Phil to get the boarding done. We'll drop back, get the tray in, and then it's up to him to get the tiling done, and then we'll come back right at the very end and get it second fixed. To be honest, it's probably going to be a bit of a hospital job because he's doing it himself. There's no real time restraints on it, which is nice sometimes, so he can just tap along and get it done. Right, let's start getting this pipework sorted. So as I said, we've got to alter this saw stack because at the minute it's running down there, and what was there before was basically a wall built out to cover that up. But what we want to do is get as much access for this tray. So I'm going to take this out completely. I'm going to try, and we've got a collar on it down here. I don't know if you can see that. We've got a collar here. Now what I'm going to do is disconnect all of this lot here, take the top half out, and what I want to do is get an elbow on here, run it underneath the floor, then to a T for the toilet, and then we can pick the basin up, and then I'm going to come off the end and just put a 2-inch air admittance valve over there. There's a unit going in here, so hopefully we'll be able to cover that up, or just put a little bit of a boxing down the back there to cover that up. Just means it's going to flow through and keep that air circulating within the drain there, because at the minute it's venting up through the roof. So what we'll do, we'll get it cut off in the roof, and I think the electrician's going to use that vent that's already going out for, because it's going to a roof tile, he's going to use that for the extractor fan that's going to go in. And then we can cut this down, and what I'm going to do is see if I can get I've got like an internal hole saw cutter that will get in there, and we'll be able to cut right down and then come off, and hopefully get the elbow set into the floor, and then we can work our way across with the saw pipe, and then once that's in we can then put the copper work round it to suit, because it's easier to shift the copper work around than it is to do the 4-inch. And we've also obviously got to pick up for the shower tray as well. So I've got the bottom half of this stack all out now. I'm going to leave that in just because it's bolted up there, and we can just leave that hanging and sort that out in a little while. But this is what we've got to sort out now. What I want to do is get this elbow and this collar as low, or at least the elbow, as low as I can to the existing ceiling below. So what we've got to do, so to do that, we've got to cut this existing collar off. The existing collar comes to, I don't know if you can make it, about there. So what I'm going to do is drill internally with this little cutter on the end of my drill here. That is so handy, because all you've got to do is put it in. Hopefully it's not going to fall off. I have lost one, to be fair. Put it in, and it'll cut internally out, and then you can just take the fitting off the top, because obviously you're not going to be able to cut it from the outside in. So that is a handy little tool. I think I got that off eBay. I think I got that off Amazon. It was like £6 or something. Everything seems to be £6. Tile bits and this internal cutter. But it's really handy. Get yourself one, pop it in your toolkit. So let's get this cut off, and we can work out exactly where we're going to sit with this collar and elbow. So there you go, we've cut all the way internally, and just comes off like that. We've cut under the, if you can see, under the original collar. So now with it being that much lower, we should be able to get this collar on it and the elbow. So let's just try it into position first. We may have to trim a little bit more off it. Yeah, we may have to take a little bit more off. Or, well, no, to be fair. So there we go, that will go in. This pipe's coming out of the way anyway. So that's sitting just about where we want it, to be honest. We're going to have a little bit of a fall going in it. The toilet's here, so it's not going to be too much of a fall. And then obviously on the end we can go up for the basin. But yeah, that's not too bad at all actually. I've just turned the water off just so we can cut this cold feed out. I've cut the pipework out from the basin and the toilet, and I'm just going to cut the cold off here and pop a cap on it, just so that we can concentrate on getting this 4-inch in without these pipes being in the way. Just make life so much easier. I'm going to pop a cap, even though I've got the water on, I'm going to pop a cap on there just in case any water happens to come through. But what we will do at a later stage is pipe that, that's the cold, is pipe that up to obviously feed the toilet in the basin. And while we're at it, I'll probably get the hot out the way. We've got to connect back onto the hot there. This is a gas pipe that's coming through. Luckily we haven't got to touch that at all, so I'm going to leave that as is. It drops down under there and drops down into the kitchen for the hob. So yeah, I might do the hot while we're here. Cap it off there, because what I am going to do is put new pipe work in, because we've got to come all the way back there with it anyway. And this is the hot feed in a basin that's over there. So we're making a little bit of progress on this soil pipe now. What we've done then is cut it right down. As you can see, I've put a boss in here. That's already been cut through. Ready for the shower. The shower waste, hopefully they've picked a tray with a waste in the middle. What I've done to get it back, I've trimmed, because these come all three-sided, these bosses, just trimmed the back of that one off to push it back there, and the same off that branch. Got my tape measure there, just holding it up for the minute. We will get some clips on that. But with that there, that's exactly in the centre where this 1200 unit's going to go. They want the unit pushed up against this wall. So it's going to finish about here, and the screen for the tray is going to be about there. So we can start getting this fixed in position now and work off the end to this point there. There we go, that's the waste and the soil's done now. So we've come off with the elbow. I've got to put 1.5 inch reducer in there to pick the shower waste up. across for the toilet. We can come out the floor with that. When the floor goes in, that will just sit in the back of the concealed cistern unit, and we can come off that and work where we need to get it. Waste for the basin, 1.25 inches. I'm going to poke a little bit up there, and I've got the 2-inch in there for the air admittance valve to go on the top, so that can just keep the air flowing through the whole of the waste system. Now we have got another bathroom and another ensuite in this house with full length stacks going up through the roof. So by deleting that one and using the air admittance valve on that, this isn't going to be an issue at all. So I've just got to poke a little bit of 1.25 inches up there. We're going to move on to the pipework now. We've got to pick up the toilet and the hot and cold over for the basin. And we have got a valve going in this wall here for the shower, so we will come off here. And then when that valve goes in, we've also got to bring a rainfall shower head there and a little one for the body one there. So let's crack on and get this water back on by putting the pipework in. We're going to cut the hot back here and then come straight off and then down, connect onto that, and then the cold can run along. Got to pick the toilet there up and the basin there. So I've been concentrating on the pipework a little bit now. I've cut out all them pipes that were there that were sticking up out the floor, cut them right back to here, put some press fit tees on. Now these two are going to go up and feed the valve that's going to go there. So we're going to do that at a later date this week when we come back. But now I just want to come across. We've got to connect this hot back onto this one and then come across here, connect onto that one, and then I'm going to scoop underneath that waste pipe and poke up the hot feed there. And then with the cold, we've got to come across, pick the toilet up. So I'm going to probably duck underneath. I don't think I've got enough room there. Probably duck underneath the 4-inch there, and then come along here and go by the side of the hot pipe coming up there. So we're going to use a mix of press fit, and we're going to get the old bender out. We just had a restock of fittings after doing that press fit versus soldering video that I've done. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link above. It's quite interesting seeing the comparison to soldering and press fit. So we'll start getting this across round, and then we can get the water back on. So that's the hot pipe bent in underneath the waste and pressed into that tee there. That's all pressed up. All these are pressed up here. We've just got to connect this little bit up here. Now I've marked up on the pipe exactly where these fittings are going to sit. I don't know if you can make that out. So I've marked in pencil, you can just see it there, because I've lost my Sharpie or it's fell under the floor or something like that. So we'll push that in together there. Push that in together. Make sure it's all pushed together onto the marks on each of the fittings. So we'll now get the press tool onto these. Just double check that they're all pushed against the markers, which they are. So we'll get this pressed into position. There we go. So that's them all pressed. That done. We've got the caps on underneath there. We're connected there. I'll pop a cap on the end of that basin pipe, come up there, and then we can work on the cold. It's just got to come across, feed the toilet and feed the basin. So I'm just getting this pipe in for the cold, for the basin and for the toilet. And this is another one of these little things where you've got to remember with press is whether you can get into the fittings to press them up when you're about to get them into position. Now this, I know I'm not going to, so I'm going to have to press this elbow into position now, and then we've got to press this elbow onto there. So I'm going to put an elbow there and press another elbow onto position like that. So press that, make that all up and press that into position now. So the only connection I've got to do is this one here, which is here, onto that pipe, because I'm not going to get the press gun down in any of these angles to get them pressed up. So if I pop that one off there for a minute, so we'll press this one again. I'm marking it and then mark that there. So I'm going to press this elbow first, and then we'll do the other one, so we know they're sitting square. Now we can offer that underneath into position and onto there. That into position there, and now I can press that easy enough with the gun. There we go, job done. So now we'll come off here, across for the toilet and across for the basin. That's all the copper pipe work done now. We've got caps on everywhere on the basin toilet. We've got them 2 caps underneath for the shower. As I said, we're going to come back later on in the week and get that valve mounted in there. So let's go downstairs now, get the water turned back on and make sure all of these joints are okay. With press fit, there's just a little bit, I try to press them as I'm going along, whereas when I'm soldering you can physically see which ones you've done. Now I'm sure I've done them all, but just in the back of your mind, have I pressed that one? So we'll see. We're going to get the water on and touch wood, make sure there's no leaks. It is above here. You can see where, obviously, I think I said before in the video that there was an issue with the ensuite. That's why they've ripped it out. So let's go upstairs and make sure it's all okay. What is that from? What's going on here? Well, turns out I hadn't pressed them all. Yeah, when I said that bit a minute ago, I thought, so I just said that I was sure that I pressed them all, and I had that whole thing about soldering and knowing where they are. I came up, as you'll have just seen then, and this joint here hadn't been pressed and it just popped open. As it popped open, I was holding the GoPro and I hit the off button and put it down on the floor here. As you can see, it fired everywhere. So all this was soaked, so I've cleaned all this out. Also, when I was doing that, to be completely transparent, that one hadn't been pressed either, and it's the same pipe going along here. So as I pulled that, it also pulled it out of there. So what I did was I grabbed the cap end off that pipe under there, shoved it on that, wedged this screwdriver into that pipe, well, into the timber here, like so, which forced this pipe pushing it into there, and then I ran downstairs, turned the water off, and then I've come up, I've pressed that one. So we're just going to take the cap off here, press this one. I've checked every single one of them now, but I've got to work something out where I know which ones are pressed and which ones I haven't. That's my only sort of niggle with this press fit at the minute. I know there are fittings that when you press them, it takes a little cellophane off the end, so you know you've done it. But yeah, so I've dried all this out. I mean, luckily it's not too bad. Dried it all out. Let's get this pressed in here, and then turn the water on again and make sure it's all right. Make sure it don't leak everywhere this time. So with the water off, let's push this into here. It's as simple as that. For some reason I thought I had done it. Clearly I hadn't. I think I went to do it. And then this 22mm one pulled out, so I did that one and must have just completely forgot to do that one. Anyway, I've double checked them all. Let's go and try again. I suppose I better put that cap back on there. Oh God, it's turning into one of them Mondays. I'm going to fill this up, make sure it's all right, then I'm going home. Right, let's try again. Oh look, we've got a leak on this. So then, water is back on, but it seems we've got a tiny little leak from that fitting that I hadn't pressed. I've just pressed it and now it seems to be leaking with the water on. It's just not been one of them days, is it? Right, as this is all pressed up, the only thing I can do is cut it here, redo this bit and make it up again, I suppose. Yeah, it's just one of them Mondays where you just had enough. So I've got the water turned off. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it here and put a couple of there, cut it as close as I can here, and then we can move that T basically to this position here and go underneath and come up for there for the shower. Just means we're cutting this out because this pesky little leak here. What a pain. Let's start with cutting this out and getting the water out of this bit of pipe here. So that was the leak on this pipe here. I don't see anything untoward, but it's definitely leaking. So what we'll do now, I'll basically replicate that with a new bit of pipe and get it into position. Right, I've just been beginning to press up the replacement bit for here, and I happened to look down there and found that just sitting on the ceiling there, or on the board there for the ceiling below. What I think has happened when this fitting blew out, obviously it hadn't been pressed, when it blew out I think it's blown that O-ring out, and that is why when we turned it on after pressing it, I think that's what's happened. That's come out, we've pressed it, and obviously there's no olive in there, there's no sort of rubber olive in there. So once I've got this done, I'm going to cut this open with the angle grinder and just see if it did blow that little olive out. But first of all, I want to get this in and get the water on and make sure it's all alright. Right, water is back on again, hopefully for the last time. Everywhere seems alright now. That joint's fine, that one's fine, all the others are fine. So what I'm going to do now is get the angle grinder on that and see if it did blow that O-ring out. So let's have a look. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it in one shot so that you can see. So if we just cut along there, and then so if we just cut it along there and then get a screwdriver. Yeah, look. Yep, no olive in there, no rubber seal in there. So that blew out. So that rubber seal must have blown out when that pipe popped off under the water. Obviously I'd never seen it because it was on the floor. We thought just pushing it back together it would reseal. Pushed it back together, pressed it, and it was still dripping. So I said, right, we're going to cut it out, and then I found that on the floor. But it just goes to show, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Oh yeah, here. Just goes to show, if you look in there, there's no seal, no rubber seal in there. So it must have shot out when we were doing it. So just always got to be careful. I suppose moral of that is if you do get a leak, just double check whether there's an olive in it.